Welcome to my healing rooms. I'm here today with Hans Wilhelm, an author who has written over 200 books, sold over 42 million copies around the world in 30 languages. One of the books is a book he wrote with Katie Byron, Tiger, Tiger, Is It True? Hans delivers universal truths in a simple and very accessible way. Welcome, Hans.
Thank you, Barbara, for inviting me.
I love the way you explain your beliefs of the universal law. It's done with, it's so accessible, it's done with such simplicity. Can we start talking about that?
Well, I found out that one of my talents is to illustrate. And I see the world more visually than other people, hear more, feel more. So when I studied all these spiritual teachings over the last 50 years, I actually had a very clear picture how they work, sort of how the dynamic works. And this is what I now do in my videos, and I illustrate it where people can actually see how the law of karma, the law of projection, the law of attraction works. And I found it very, found a wonderful way to explain these things for people who just sometimes get stuck in the very convoluted texts, because basically all these laws are very simple and very direct.
So we're here, my belief is, we're this soul and we're in these earth suits. And that can get very heavy at times, especially if we're not aware of what the possibilities are that exist. And Hans has Life Explained videos, which you can access on YouTube, that explain all the different areas that we are struggling with or trying to understand. So I encourage everybody to look at the Life Explained videos. But what is your basic belief on why we're here and what we're experiencing and why we're experiencing?
Well, I think what I believe is that we all have different reasons why we incarnate from the spiritual world, which is our true home, into this physical world. Some people just for experiencing things, some people to teach, some people to help others, some people to explore certain emotions, certain conditions. And many of us, maybe most of us, are come here to experience the karma which we have sown in previous lifetimes. That is a wonderful way for our soul to grow, to come into a physicality which is in this universe a dualistic one with two polarities, the plus and minus, and everything in this universe has got these two sides to it. And we sort of navigate through it, through our feelings, emotions, and what we see and what we feel. And it's a wonderful playing ground and growing ground for the soul to experience. Now, when we are in our little game here, which only lasts as an average of 900,000 hours, which is the average of a lifetime, it's very short.
That sounds very short.
It is very short. It's like going to the movies, basically. We easily forget that there is a much bigger plan that we have initiated ourselves. Nobody is doing anything to us. We have come here on our own accord with our total own agreement. Nobody is forced to incarnate. We knew that this life will be challenging prior our arrival here. And a lot of spiritual beings, the way I understand it, are actually admiring us of having had the guts to incarnate in this very difficult kind of environment. This is a universe, this planet Earth is very special and very unique because it allows most of free will. Most other kinds of realms of beings don't allow that much of free will. And free will is a very tricky thing to use and get used to. And therefore we have the law of karma, which allows us to experience whatever we send out, whatever we do, whatever we say, whatever we think will come back to us. So we experience the whole picture of our action. And this is the way how we learn and experience and how to deal with free will.
Okay, so then this is my question. When you talk about in your beautiful videos that we have a soul group, right, and we incarnate and we have our agreement with these beautiful souls, and even things that happen to us that we might perceive as being awful or horrible are actually lessons that we have asked for or that this other soul is graciously performing for us in our play. But if there's karma, you also mentioned free will. Are you saying we can change the karma?
Oh, sure, sure. Nothing is that much pre-written. What is pre-written prior our incarnations? We have usually what we call soul contracts with other souls who will incarnate with us, as you said, explained, and be maybe our partner in life, our children, our parents, to give us certain challenging situations, or for whom we have to do something to them, like helping them or whatever it is. These are sort of these very important moments for our soul to grow. These are important lessons, and they can be very dramatic at times. They can also be very joyful. But this is how our soul grows through these challenges. And we prearrange this how we come, but it's up to us how we deal with it. I see it more like a riverbed. Prior our birth, it's like a riverbed, our future life. And there are all these turns and twists. Some of them are very challenging, some are easy, etc. And it's up to us how we swim that river. As the old song goes, row, row the boat gently down the stream. It says, we can either fight it and resist it, or we can just go with the flow, as we say. And so it's up to us. We have free will in that riverbed.
Right, so when you talk about that there's reality and fantasy, which I'd like you to touch upon, if we fight our reality, which is what exists, then we're not allowing our story to unfold. Or am I saying that right?
We are not rowing down the river easily, no. The fantasy, what I call the fantasy, are all the programs we have accumulated in our lifetime, how our life should be. We should be married, we should be wealthy, we should be healthy. We've got these 1,000 things which we adopted from the environment, from other teachers, how life should be. This is a big fantasy bubble, and we cling to it, we love it. This is how it should be.
Right.
But reality has a totally different plan for us. Reality has the only plan is to learn to love. That is the only reason why we are here. That's the prime reason, is to learn to love. And reality comes into this bubble, our fantasy bubble, and really clashes with it. And the area where it overrides are our emotions. Our emotions tells us, here is something. Reality is here, but my fantasy is here, and I'm clinging to that fantasy. And until I surrender to reality, my emotions will really fight with me and give me a very hard time. Reality always wins, always wins. We only lose 100% if we fight reality.
So be here now with what is. If we're creating a story that's going to clash with it, then we're creating our own obstacle for the gifts that might be present for us at that moment.
We don't see it because we are stuck to our stories. We are attached to our stories.
So even what we perceive as awful, sickness, death, all of those things, if we can step back a little bit, there is a gift for our learning, which then, again, ultimately you said is always to go back to love.
Definitely, definitely. Everything in our world is just like this coin which I'm trying to get. Everything has two sides. There is no thing like a coin with one side only. It always has the other side. So the ones you mentioned, like war or illness or death, etc., we think it's negative. It has an equal amount of positive.
Oh.
And our skill is to learn that everything is totally balanced. You remember this Asian yin-yang sign, the two black and the negative?
Yes.
Everything is like this. And even the positive, what we call positive, like relationships, like marriage, etc., has an equal amount of negative, if we really look at it very carefully. And as long as we are infatuated with the positive, we are creating emotions because things don't work out, because reality is balanced. It's calm, it's always in harmony. If the universe wouldn't be in harmony, it would unravel in a second. And we have to appreciate this harmony. So if there is illness, if there is death, yes, I don't want to have that necessarily. I'm quite honest about it.
Right.
But I also appreciate that illness is a wonderful way that our soul now is ready, mature enough to let go of maybe some karmic reasons, so it can flow out of us. It's a sign of growth. Illness, for instance, gives 40 million Americans work. Think of all the people who work in the healthcare industry.
But hopefully it's deeper than that. Hopefully illness is deeper than employment.
I'm just adding a few of the positive things.
The other things that it could do.
You take illnesses away, we have got 40 million people unemployed. That will be chaotic.
Well, if it's the medical association, it might not be bad. But anyway, we'll move on from that. But so
even they have their positive.
So everything, right, it's that yin-yang.
Totally.
Everything has, but I hear you talk about love. Okay, so we're energy, we're vibration. Love is a higher vibration, or the ultimate vibration that we might want to kind of tune into, right? As opposed to fear. Can you talk about love and fear and how that affects us?
No, it's not a higher vibration. Love is everything.
Okay.
And love includes fear.
Oh.
Fear is what we may call a slight distortion of love, but fear has no other purpose than for entertainment reason only. We have fear for entertainment. It's a form of excitement. It's a form of adventure. Fear stands feeling excited and ready. So we can take it as a negative. It says, I don't want to go this. But if we really analyze our sensation of fear, it is excitement without breath. Somebody said that is fear. Fear is excitement without breath. So we breathe into it. We go with it. We take it as an adventure.
Go with it. Don't fight it.
Don't fight it. No, go through it.
Because if you fight it, it stops you.
It's a wonderful kind of experience to go through that kind of fear and to grow from it. No, I believe everything is love. And we have to wake up that everything is part of us. So the separation which we imagine is not existing, because everything, whether you take the carpet, we take the people next door, we take the stars and the planets, are not outside. They're all inside of us. We think the world is outside of us, but that is the big illusion. The whole universe is basically inside of us, which is everything, and everything is love. It is only our distorted attitude, views, and stories which we attach to certain conditions, to people, to whatever, which make us think this is outside of love. Truth, it's all love. And we have to embrace it all. Love is always unconditional, all-inclusive, which means there is nothing outside of love, and it's unlimited. So as long as we see anything outside of love, we are not loving. Anything that we do not love keeps us in prison.
So, for example, someone does not have a job, they're living in a tenement, and they're sick. How can they approach this concept of everything is love?
Well, everything is love from that point of view. First of all, we have to really accept where we are. We have to take 100% responsibility where we are. That we are never, ever a victim. We have to overcome the victim idea, thinking that someone else is doing it to us. Now, we have put ourselves into that situation, maybe on another level of consciousness. Now, I may agree, I didn't want to be unemployed and homeless or whatever it is in this lifetime, but on a higher level of consciousness, our own consciousness, we have decided this is the lesson for our soul to learn right now. So we first of all take 100% responsibility where we are. We stop the blame game. And the moment we stop the blame game and feeling sorry for ourselves, we have this vast energy suddenly available for us to make the changes, which is the next step. But we cannot see the next step for us to do for as long as we see ourselves as victim or someone else is doing it to us and poor me. These emotions we have to overcome, and that's how we grow. So the soul has to come from the self-pity, victimized kind of state, which is the lowest state of development, to the next step that says, oh, I can do something about my life. I do have free will. I can make choices. Right. And there are always choices. And if there are no choices in the physical world, like you are, for instance, in a prison, where the choices are limited, you always have the choice of attitude.
Like Nelson Mandela, who was able to...
Perfect example.
But so we really imprison ourselves. We have the ability to box ourselves in and not realize how much is available. It's almost kind of, you need to kind of go out and get a view, a telescopic view.
We're in love with our story, the story which we tell over and over again ourselves. We have to break those stories. We have to question those stressful thoughts. Is it true? And then we find out that we are attached to some story which we picked up, usually from our childhood, our environment, and it's not true.
It's amazing. If you recently, because I've been looking at a lot of your videos and thinking about this, if you say, is that true? If you ask that about a lot of things, we're so boxed in by our beliefs, and it's I guess what you're saying is it's good to challenge them.
Yeah, to question it.
To question it. So I've heard you talk about The Secret. And there are people that sit there and they focus on something and they want it, and they're not getting it. Why? What's your opinion?
Well, there are several reasons. First of all, it may not be right for you in this lifetime. For instance, you may have incarnated here to meet your mate somewhere who is a teacher somewhere in Denver, but suddenly you desire, you have this big mansion house on a beach and you want it, and suddenly you never make it to Denver, you never meet your mate. So sometimes what we are put our the deep wishes out are not necessarily right for us. I think Bernard Shaw thought there are only two tragedies in life. One is not getting your wishes fulfilled, and the other one is getting your wish fulfilled.
Right.
So because, again, I said earlier, everything has two sides. Whatever we crave for has another side. If we crave for a relationship, for wealth, whatever it is, it has the other side. We are just temporarily infatuated with these goals. And if we really understand that where we are is the most perfect spot to be right now to make the next changes, it's different. When one surrenders to what life is, one opens up to what needs to be done.
That's the key word. It's to surrender to what is and then allow it to unfold. So if we're constantly coming up against a wall over and over and over, that's a signal that we're possibly not going in the right direction,
Right.
or we're not surrendering, or we're just not being. So with that being said, is being really happy and excited something that you feel is too much on one side of the coin?
Excited, I would be a bit careful. I would say it's sort of inner joy and inner bliss would be the ideal state. And the inner joy and inner bliss you really feel, and I felt it in my own life, when I understand really that everything has two sides. Wherever I am is two sides. Whether I am in a great relationship, it will have its shadow. If I'm poor and etc., I may be compensated by have a lot of people who are suddenly being friendly to me who wouldn't be in otherwise, etc. I get compensated somewhere else. Everything has a positive. Once you understand that the total balance, it gives you a lot of peace, inner peace.
Right.
And whenever you get caught up into either in something you despise or something which you're infatuated with, you quickly question it and you go back to balance again. And the balance is, I would call, inner joy, inner bliss. And that is wonderful to have.
That's why we
off and on.
That's why we hear there are people, and I hear this from a lot of people I've spoken to, or therapists, the wealthiest people, or the people with what our society deems to be so important, or sometimes the emptiest people, and where you could go to an island and see people with a family with nothing, really seemingly just very happy because they just are with what it is that they have.
That's a typical example was the recent survey of the happiness organization, which found Nairobi. People in Nairobi, people who are really with all the problems, are the happiest in the world.
Wow.
America is place 46. So there you have
well,
it.
There you go.
There you go. That's basically has nothing to do with wealth.
We're swimming upstream.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with wealth whatsoever. Wealth is lovely. It's nothing wrong with love. Wealth is neutral, like poverty is neutral in a way. If you really look at it very carefully, it has both sides. As we know, Nairobi is lots of poverty,
right.
And yet the people are happy for whatever reason, because it is not in wealth where we find our happiness. The happiness is only within ourselves. As long as we think the happiness is outside there, with wealth, the red sports car, with the right lover, the house, etc., we are constantly searching, we are constantly submitting ourselves, and what we are becoming, we become prostitutes. We whore ourselves to get these items.
So, because I always like to talk about frequency and vibration, how would you tie that into, do feelings have a certain vibration or frequency, or is it just that we are that? Is there a way to explain that? Or?
Many people discuss the difference between feeling and emotion. I just concentrate rather on the emotion. The emotions to me is a result of thought. A thought brings up something from our past, and it immediately projects and it immediately affects our glands, and they bring the serotonin or whatever it is. Like, for instance, I asked you to think of a lemon, I cut it and squeeze it, and immediately your mouth starts watering. It's just a thought, there is no lemon. But the thought, your body instantly reacts to a thought, to any thought we're having. So depression, happiness, is our thoughts are bringing these emotions out. And as I said earlier, emotions are all lies, because we either overvaluate something positive or negative.
Right.
In truth, it's all totally balanced. In truth, everything is love. So whenever we have an emotion, the so-called positive as well as the negative, we are lying to ourselves and don't have seen the total, both sides of the coin. And when we understand that everything is totally balanced, the positive and negative, we are no longer that infatuated with it, or we resent it that much anymore, because we see each one has its purpose, and all the purpose are there to help us. Everything that's a universe which is a loving, healing, everything is medicine.
So this is a friendly universe. So someone
Totally.
grows up and they have actually called in, according to the principles we're talking about, which I also believe in, an abusive childhood, which leads them to destructive behavior and depression. As they then chose that, and if they choose to go into consciousness, they can rewrite the story and change the thoughts. Is that what you're... So there is a chemical component to depression, but the thoughts are a large part of what causes it, and you feel that that can also be changed.
Yeah, by questioning our story.
Right.
Like Oprah, for instance. I mean, I don't know, I haven't read her biography, but I know she went some difficult times as a child. And she switched it totally around and becomes one of the most important leaders in the spiritual world and so on, opened people up to a lot of way of thinking. She changed her thinking about what happened.
But what about people that are born with physical, chemical, people that are born that are schizophrenic, or people that are born that are bipolar, or, you know, rage issues, you know, serial killers? Is that, look, that's not something that can be...
I would not venture to give, to know the purpose of that particular soul. But I know from other information is that handicapped bodies are the most desired ones for souls to incarnate, and there aren't enough. If a soul, imagine this life is basically like going to college, and
Right.
if you have a chance to go to Yale or Princeton, and you are strong enough, you would love to go there. And having a handicapped body, and with all these kind of illnesses like you mentioned, is like going to Yale and Princeton, because you learn the hard time. You have not much time to pleasure and fun, etc. It will be a very challenged life, but your soul can grow dramatically and fast in it. So there is a long line of souls waiting for handicapped bodies. Never, ever feel sorry for anybody who's handicapped.
Never feel sorry for anybody, because that is their desired experience.
It is that. You are there to, the only reason what we are there here to love.
And if we get too enmeshed or too involved in their story, then it's our projections.
It's our projections, yes, what we think they will go, it's going through, etc. Our own fear come up and says, oh, I don't want to have that illness, etc., etc. Poor, poor, poor person. All you're talking is about your own kind of hang-ups about that situation. All you are asked to do is to face that person or anything with love, giving.
Everything that comes in your life, every little thing, us sitting here right now, is been exquisitely designed to mirror back to us, is a learning opportunity, is an experience for growth if we choose it to be that.
It's a learning experience as well as an opportunity to give love. It's, of course, the miracle says there are only two options, either to crave for love or to give love. So every opportunity is also an opportunity to give love.
If everything's an opportunity to give love, for an example, does that mean when you go to the grocery checkout or when you go to the toll, is this something we should be conscious of actually? Can you explain that, giving love, and how do you feel one should do that?
Well, there aren't no any shoulds. If it works for you, fine. If it doesn't, it will come time. It's something which I find, in my own life, I've found out very, very helpful. One thing is learn to love everything. Yes, if you are in that frame of mind, if you are not involved in your own stories, you suddenly have got to see the world very differently and to learn to love everything. The other thing which I believe very strongly in it is the blessing. The moment we bless basically means we are giving the love which comes through us to another object, to another person, to another condition, to a room, whatever it is. We are instantaneously love ourselves. The love, we are affirming indirectly the love flowing through us. So we are not busy with a story which we are telling ourselves. We are not feeling sorry for ourselves, etc., etc. We are using the incredible flow of love and we are sending it to someone else. And by doing this, we clear everything. We clear our relationship to the person. It's very different if I come here with this energy of love for you than sitting here says, I hope she likes me, I hope I'm doing the right things, etc. Being worried about myself. Or maybe, or even judging you. The moment I judge you, etc., we are already having distortion here.
Right.
But as long as I come from the loving level, there is no distortion.
Thank you for not judging me. Thank you. I hate to be judged. Thank you very much. That's why I like to be around you. But it's the giving from the source love. It basically gets us out of our story, and we're connected to that divine.
It affirms our richness, and the next step is gratitude. When we give love, the next thing is you feel absolutely gratitude. And it's just a wonderful way to share that. And I think after Dr. Emoto did this wonderful test with the messages from water, showing us that we can influence the molecular structure of water just by blessing it and sending it love.
So that's vibration. That then we're going back to, is it frequency, vibration?
It could be frequency, vibration.
Frequency.
Yeah, I would say that would be a fair way of saying it.
And you have a Life Explained video, which I watched, on blessings.
On blessings,
which
yeah.
I highly recommend everybody goes and watches. It's so simple.
30 years ago, this idea, and it's very important to do this secretly, not to go around and say, "I bless you all," etc.
Right. We're not walking around like the Pope.
No, also at a table or whatever, secretly. The moment you say anything like this, that you're talking blessing people, it's like somebody who says in a party, says, "Oh, I just donated $10,000 to the cancer charity," or whatever it is. He wasn't donating, he was just boasting his ego. So you do it totally quiet, nobody must know about it. It's only between you and source energy.
What are the ways to look at a situation if someone does something awful to you?
Somebody offers to me, there are two ways for me to respond. Either I am upset about it, or I just can shake it off. This is their problem, it's not my problem. And that is usually then the case. If I have no emotional reaction, as I said, the emotion is always the key in telling us that we have lied to ourselves and not been honest to ourselves. But if the person evokes a strong emotion in me and says, "How dare he or she does that to me," etc., etc., then obviously this is an element in me which has not been solved. Whatever the person does to me, I have been doing as well, either to myself or to others. If somebody accuses me of stealing and it upsets me, then I either have stolen from other people as well, or I've stolen from myself as well. The outer world is always expressing what we suppress within ourselves. So, for instance, if a person is living with somebody who beats her, for instance, that person in most cases is someone who has got a very low self-esteem. She is beating herself up all the time. "I'm no good, I'm no good, I'm no good." So life, being love, sends a person, an angel, so to speak, like a husband, who beats her up physically, so that she realizes, "Oh my God, he beats me. I'm beating myself up." And not until she changes her own beating up will that change. So once she realizes that she is not a soul to be beaten up, but a precious being, divine creation of God, and really feels that, the other person will disappear the moment we stop that. The message is done. So all the so-called negative people who come to our world, into our world, are basically souls we have made an agreement with to come into our life, to wake us up from our illusion. So instead of cursing them, we almost must be grateful for them. We have to say to every human being at the end of our life, "Thank you and I love you." And there are no exceptions. The biggest dictator, the most horrible person, deserves our thanks and gratitude, and also our love.
You could put all the divorce lawyers out of business. Well, looking at life that way, it makes it, I think, more exciting, more interesting. There's so many more possibilities if we look at this, which we both do, as a big, giant classroom, an opportunity to grow, and then hopefully, like you said, to realize that everything is love.
It is.
Thank you so much, Hans, for being here.
Thank you, Barbara. I enjoyed it.
I just had the pleasure of interviewing Hans Wilhelm, who has written over, as I said, 200 books, amazing books for children. How great would it be if our children grow up with this knowledge, that this is a totally friendly universe. And speaking of that, Hans and Katie Byron have written a book, The Friendly Universe. And this is one of the other books that I mentioned. And we'd like you to join us, please, in the demo room where Hans is going to show you a demonstration of how he deals with human emotions, one of them being fear. Thank you so much. See you there.